What's good, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about 6 steps to success. So first of all, we're going to talk about process. And wait, before you switch off, process is something pretty cool. And I know normally process is associated with, well, it's not actually associated with creativity. And I've found myself as well in the past when I talk about process, or I've heard the word process and creativity combined, you run for the hills. And we've actually, I would say, created something that is a way that we can channel creativity and channel the right types of results based around process. So let's jump straight into the process. Step number 1 is the workshop. Now the workshop is a fantastic place to be because it's a space where you're able to discover, you're able to explore, you're able to really look deep into your ideas, your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, all the things that make up your business and your brand. And in the discovery session, through workshops, you're able to talk, explore, and be able to share these ideas either with your teammates, with your business partner, or with the people around you who you actually value the opinion of. Normally the way that we would do things is we would apply a brand sprint, and this is something that we highly recommend. A brand sprint will allow you to jump into, again, 6 different variants, 6 different steps of the process to be able to unlock the full potential of your brand. Step number 2. So you finish the workshop, you've got all those juicy details, but what do you do with it? It's time to actually start to define. And by documenting and taking all of that information, you're able to have a much clearer perspective of the path that you're going to go on. Actually, this is a process that really lays the foundations. And the foundations are really important because it's somewhat the starting point, somewhat a central point of truth that you can always refer to when decision making. So let's say a button needs to be blue. So we can always refer back to this documentation to say this decision was made based on this reason. So to have this documentation really solidifies and gives you a solid base to actually be able to start on. Having this documentation, this kind of defining part of the process, really gives you this link back to where you started from. So I'm a designer at heart, and this is my background, this is where I come from. So this part is obviously one of my favorite parts of the whole process. But this stage, we move into the design exploration in the 3rd part of the 6-step process. And this is a place where now we're able to look back at the decisions that we've made and actually be able to play a little bit, start creating things. We in particular use Stylescapes, and Stylescapes we recommend you can also try, but there's many different variants and different ways, from prototyping to mood boards. We just find that Stylescapes really help to give a broader picture of the possibilities of how your brand could actually look in the end. Within the design exploration phase of the Stylescapes and exploring what the design really means, you'll be looking at things like typography, colours, picture world, logos, tone of voice, really kind of starting to set the scene, set the mood. This is again why it's one of my favourite parts of the process. But without all of the strategic thinking and all of the exploration previous, the design is kind of worthless. But by applying the things that we've done previously in the 6-step process, our design exploration starts to make a lot more sense. So now we jump into step 4. And this is the brand assets. And at this stage, we have already made a unanimous decision on which look and feel we're going to go with from the Stylescapes that we've already designed. But the brand assets stage of the process is where we're able to really start to craft the elements, so the UI components, the logo that you've been waiting all this time to have, the colors, the typography, all the margins, the paddings, the grid you're going to be using, all of this stuff in this phase is defined. This allows us to move on to the next stage, which is stage 5. So in stage 5, we need somewhere for these brand assets to live. So we have all of the documentation, we have our style, we have our look, we have the things that we've already made all these hard decisions on to get to where we've got to. But you know, we've basically created a toolbox of assets, visual components, the promise, brand message, all the things that you need to be able to get on your journey, to be able to develop your digital brand. So in stage 5, we look at developing the brand management platform. And this is a space which is incredibly useful. You've heard me use the word already, central point of truth, but I think this right now is even more specific and is even more important as a central point of truth. Gone are the days where you have to send a PDF to a colleague or send high-res images for your press release, or have the nightmare scenario where a low-res JPEG of your brand new shiny logo has been printed in some magazine somewhere. Having a brand management platform is a space where you're able to share all of these assets that are so important to getting consistency within the storytelling, consistency in the message across all the communication. So we use Frontify, but there are many different tools that you can use. But by having a place where you can send a link to a business partner, a colleague, somebody from the press, as I mentioned before, they're able to download the high-res files in exactly the format that you created them in and you would expect to be used, and in the best possible way for your brand. PNGs, SVGs, PDFs, guidelines for animation, illustrations, grids, text, the tone of voice, all of these things that are so important to the consistency of your brand message can be placed on a brand management platform. So again, highly recommended that you do this. Having the best organization that you possibly can allows for consistency, and I've always said this and it's very true, consistency creates trust. And if you break the trust with your user or your audience, it's pretty much game over. They're not going to come back. So having something like this allows you to be able to communicate and get all of your stuff out there in the best possible way. So moving on to the final step of this process, number 6, and that's the rollout. So the rollout is basically the opening of the curtain. It's showtime. All of the stuff that you worked on, all of the stuff that you decided on, it's now time to make real. So build that website, build that app, go out there and create that merchandise. Start to apply all of the decisions that you made from all of these different steps into the products that you want to roll out. Now the rollout phase can go on for an extended period of time. It just depends on the complexity of the product that you're creating. If it's an app, of course, this is going to be a constant thing. This will, as we said, a constant state of beta. It will just continue to develop. So you'll be going back and iterating. If it's a merch line, then get those t-shirts out, get that clothing out. This is a really exciting time because it's a proof of concept to be able to show the world your dreams, your aspirations, your product for the first time. So there's one more thing that I'd just like to talk about, which is, I suppose, timings. And you might be asking yourself, well, yeah, Paul, that's a lot to actually do. When am I supposed to do this? Well, if we break this down into using the things that we definitely get behind and we're definitely triumphant on, which is the idea of using an agile environment, using sprint techniques, using all these methods that we talked about in previous videos, you're able to create a roadmap that should be very, very easy to follow. It will take a little bit of your concentration, your kind of devotion to your brand at the end of the day. So I'm pretty sure that your heart's in it, your head's in it, and you're ready to go. But we would normally say this kind of process can be done within 6 to 8 weeks if it's planned right. You start 1 week, finish at the end of the week. That's 5 days where you can iterate and make those decisions. So if you have this hyper-focused period of time, we're able to develop your ideas and go step by step by step within this 6-step process. You're going to be able to create the best possible outcomes, the most focused creativity, the best decision making, and ultimately the best results in the end. So we highly recommend that you go out and you try this for yourself. So there you have it. Those are 6 steps to what we would say. If you apply these in the way that we have laid these out, you have a better chance of success. We can give you these tools and these ideas to be able to set you on the right path, to be able to build the best possible brand for your product. So thanks again for joining. It's always awesome to have you here, and it was for us really great to be able to share this 6-step process. It's something that we kind of have been building up to a little bit with some of the other videos, but we're going to continue to explore different parts of this. Of course, you can go a lot more in depth into different parts of that process. This is just kind of a broader overview for you guys to actually jump in and start to apply. Any of this information that you need, you can find this stuff on our Instagram channel. I'll leave the links below. And we also have documentation on our website. So if you need some help, give us a shout. Jump on over to Instagram where you can get involved. You can we're pretty constant and consistent on Instagram, so we're sharing a lot of stuff based around these processes and also sharing our opinions and getting you guys involved as well in feedback from brands. And also we're really interested to hear the stories and the journeys that you're going on. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, like this video. As always, it really helps us to grow the channel and continue to create content like this for you guys. So we have been Hyperfocus, and see you in the next one.